Well, yeah, that was actually a pretty interesting anime. Um, okay, I'll take it. Um, hey guys, this is Camfrey15, and I'm back at it with another video for you guys. And I'm here with a anime review on an anime that I don't really, talk about. I've just been watching anime on the side because obviously, things haven't really progressed in terms of stuff. And, honestly, if there's one thing I can say that pandemic has done for me in terms of making things better for me is just from the standpoint that I have watched a lot of anime that I thought I would not watch. I just like, stick to certain animes that I typically like. But if there's one thing this pandemic has done for me, um, is it's made me get online and watch a bunch of more animes that I'm into. And obviously, you clicked on this video to get my thoughts on the anime Love Chunibyo and Other Delusions. Now, I know this has a season 2 and I think a few movies and some OVAs as well. Um, I'm going to talk about season 1 as this video is. I'll review the other stuff in the movies and give my thoughts. Well, one, since the anime has been out since like a long time, and I'm talking season 1. Spoiler warnings, because there will be spoilers, here in this video, because you know I figured if you freaking clicked on this video, you've already seen the anime and you want my thoughts on it. So again, I'm gonna make a mention of spoiler warning. I will say I did enjoy the anime, and I really think if you haven't seen it, please do go check it out. It actually is pretty emotional by the end, which I'll get into. It has a lot of comedy. It made me laugh a bunch of time. Is some episodes here and there slow? Yes, there are episodes in, especially in season 1, that can be really slow paced and kind of drag on and stuff like that. But I enjoyed it. I laughed. I got a good laugh. And then, like I said, near the tail end of this season, it really got freaking emotional to the point I was actually freaking crying. I wasn't like bawling tears out. I was like, shedding a tear down my face, and I'm like, Jesus, this hits me hard. So, yeah. So again, that was kind of a spoiler, free little discussion there. So I'm gonna get into the story, talk about things I like the characters and stuff like that. And yeah. So, anyways, let's move on to the spoilers discussion. Okay, so we're back with the spoilers discussion, and yeah, so Love Chunibyo and Other Delusions. I don't know how you still say that freaking Chunibyo word, but essentially, this anime is centered around, well, the main cast of characters, but morely made about one of the main characters, Yuta, and the other girl, and the main female character, Rika. And essentially, it's Yuka running into, Yuta running into Rika, and essentially, you know, them having a freaking friendship slash relationship of the fact that Rika is a person that kind of does things that a normal person wouldn't do. Like, and honestly, she foreplays. She imaginary, foreplays with, her friend in and Dekumori, sometimes with her sister. Just in general, she just foreplays. And it's some of the most exciting, most funny things ever and stuff like that. And you have Yuta, who used to do all that stuff that she does throughout the season, and you find that he kind of grew out of it because of a past experience that kind of ruined him a little bit, and he wanted to grow up and mature and stuff like that. And kind of the whole thing behind the season and the message behind the season is, which is at the end, which some people can have their own opinions to it. Personally, I like the series. I think the message of this series, which I'll talk more about in the end, is you can have that other personality, that childlike personality of yourself, but at the same time, make sure you know what's currently going on in the real world and that you're still like a normal person. From what I think, I'll talk more about that in the end when I get to the end of my review. But yeah, I really liked Rika's character because she was so freaking funny from the moment she first, and I'm like, this girl is whack. And I thought the entire season would be like, them just dealing with all these funny, scenes and stuff like that. But as your season progresses, at first it starts out into a comedy, and even near the tail end of the season, you do get that comedy aspect, but then it turns from a comedy to a little bit of a romance genre because it does have the word love in it. Because you have Rika start to catch some feelings for Yuta, and she doesn't know how to express it because she obviously isn't like that. Her character isn't like going between the real world. But then it becomes a little bit of a depressing thing because you have not only some members of her family like her grandfather and her sister who try to force her and try to make her different and change, which ends up becoming a depressing thing, especially when you get Rika's backstory on the fact that the reason why she's kind of socially awkward and stuff like that with other people is mostly because she was a normal girl in the past, and she was still a child, but her dad's death really affected her. And then the reason why she became the outgoing foreplay self was because she saw Yuta when they were younger in the past actually do all that stuff, and it inspired her, which also was is the reason why she somewhat fell in love with him. And I like the way how the show ended off really well and stuff like that. And it literally goes from comedy to romance to legit depression where you can actually cry. Like, I was actually freaking tearing up with the emotional scenes when it came to, Rika's dealing with the dad stuff. I legit teared up when Yuta and Rika in the last episode of season 1 finally reunited when it looked like they would be separated forever and stuff like that. And that stuff, that little mini arc with the whole thing where it starts with the sister, Rika's sister, essentially telling Yuta, like, listen, you need to stop her from doing all this stuff, which I think in that point, I'll talk more when I get to that arc, but I think in that point, honestly, in my opinion, I think the sister was kind of wrong for that, and stuff like that. And I know the sister has a good heart and she does care and love her sister, but I think she was definitely wrong for that and stuff like that. Now, let me get into the other cast of characters and stuff. What looked like to be like the main female character now, honestly, Yuta's real true love interest was Rika, but the other, say love interest girl that could potentially create a love triangle was Shinka Nibutani, which, my God, her character is freaking hilarious. From the aspect, you think, oh, she's a nice girl, you see in school, she's Yuta's friend, if I can find him, Shikimaya, I believe that's his name. He goes on to say, oh yeah, Nibutani was ranked like #1 hottest or #1 cutest girl in the class and stuff like that. And obviously you have Yuta getting infatuated with her, and then he's trying to hook up with her and stuff like that, but at the same time, keep the downplay and make sure, she doesn't know the whole thing about, Rika and her delusional crap and stuff like that. And then, you see her, somewhat spying on them having a talk, and she hears something because Dekomori brings up about this book, which we later find out, she goes over to, Nibutani goes over to Yuta's house, and she tries to look for the book to get rid of it, because we find out Nibutani used to be in the same shoes of what Yuta did and what Rika was currently doing, and she kind of wants to go beyond that. And after that, you just see her character like switch from like 0 to 100. Now I thought I would hate her character because she's that type of character where now you have the true colors of Nibutani, on the aspect of so you just don't give a crap. But as the season progresses, I do like how they humanize her character and make her actually like likable instead of, because the show could have made her a flat out, excuse my language, but they could have made her a bitch, and I thought that's what they were taking the character. When you finally get who she truly is, because you can see she has a totally different personality, from the time she knows everything. But as the season progresses, you see her develop as a character. And I like the fact that, they made her sympathize with these characters, even though she's odd with them. I did like the funny little butting heads, rivalry she had with Deku Mori on the aspect of, I forgot her name, her Chunibyo name. And, it was funny because Deku Mori's like, yeah, you're not the real one and stuff like that. So that whole thing was nice. The next character was Kumin, which honestly, man, at the end of the episode, at the end of the season, she started speaking straight up facts, and she was like legit. Now, Kumin is the oldest out of this friend group, out of this group of characters we have, because she's a whole grade older than these people. And even though it looks like, she's a girl that is just going to be the girl that, passes out and sleeps from time to time, I do like the fact that, she was actually a really good character, especially at the end when she was telling Yuta essentially, what Rika told her about her life story and stuff like that, and how Rika became the person she is today, and kind of inspired Yuta to go after Rika at the end of the season. The next character, Deku Mori. She's obviously a very highly funny comedic character. I enjoyed it. Now I watched the English dub. Now Brittany Karbowski, who is one of my favorite voice actors in any just dub for any animes, I enjoyed her role because it's funny. She plays the little funny girl like a ton of bricks. I think also because it has to do with the fact that she plays Wendy a bit, and Wendy is a very comedic character from Fairy Tail. But here, I enjoy Brittany Karbowski's performance. I think she went really over the top, and I guarantee you she probably had a good time, in essentially doing this. I thought all the dub voices were fine with me, and stuff like that. So, yeah. I guess the next thing the next character obviously is Yuta's friend, Shichimaya, which I just found it funny. He's a purely comedic character in this show too. He's kind of the guy that kind of walks Yuta alongside the panels of trying to get a girlfriend and stuff like that. And you later find out that he wants to hook up with Kumin. And it's funny because after the school fair that they throw, he tries to ask Kumin to be his girlfriend, and she's essentially like, yeah, no. Well, actually, my bad. That's not Shichimaya. It's Ishiki. Shit, I messed up. You guys are probably like, what is he talking about? Ishiki. Yeah, sorry. My bad. So whatever I said in the past, it's Ishiki. Anyways, I like the fact that Ishiki was like, he was trying to ask out Kumin, and she's like sleeping. She's like, yeah, no, but hey, he still has a chance to ask her. I did like the fact how he kind of confessed about writing a book about trying to do these dirty things to the girls in school. And he's like, as me for being a man, I will cut my hair and stuff like that. And he ends up doing it. but you see by like the next episode, his hair is already growing back and stuff like that. So I enjoyed his character. I enjoyed Ishiki's character, um, and stuff like that. And yeah, other characters I enjoyed. The sister was definitely funny. Um, and near the tail end of the season, even though she was kind of wrong for trying to make Yuta eventually spring upon the question to make Rika change. I did like the fact that she is a very caring sister, and even though you can kind of hate her at the point in time when she makes Yuta kind of change his stance on where he stands and forces Rika to essentially undergo a change. At the end, when you get the more of the backstory when it comes to the death, you can really see that the sister, I think the sister's name is Toka, Toka Tanahashi. You can see that she really does care about Rika and stuff like that. Now, I'm going to talk about really the ending little arc, the main story arc here. As I was getting to, and essentially, before the whole school fair, their little club, because they created a club, where they started to they wanted to make a play essentially with obviously Yuta and Rika going up against each other and their playing magic. But the day before all that happened, you have Toka eventually say like, "Yo, I'm gonna be moving out of country to Italy to go have my cooking talents." Now I thought, because at this point you have Rika and Yuta, they finally had confessed their feelings to one another, which I did like that story arc where Yuta does that really nice thing for her and he's there for her and stuff like that, which goes back to the whole beach sequence of the fact where we get the relations that her dad, Rika's dad, passed away, and we see her obviously she has a tough time dealing with the death and getting over her father's death, and obviously you see her run away, and then in that same episode you have Yuta go after her, and they spend the night at the same house, in Yuta's house, their little apartment building, and you have Rika, eventually, because Yuta's there for her, eventually catch feelings for him, and you have like Nibatana eventually trying to help Rika, like find ways to confess her feelings to him. And it doesn't come to an aspect till the feelings are really fully developed and they're about to tell it to each other, after literally Rika almost falls off the school building and Yuta saves her by making sure she's okay and stuff like that. And you have the amazing under the bridge sequence and stuff like that, which they confess to each other that they do like each other, and a very sweet, adorable way. And also another reason why they also fell for each other is because he kind of bought this convenient foods, they went to like a gas station essentially, or like a convenience store, bought some snacks, and they were kind of like sharing the food together. And obviously it started the whole thing where she looked at him and it cut over to her past, and she saw a past version of Yuta, and that's when I was like, oh, so that's how she somewhat fell, and then stuff like that. But going back to the sister discussion, Toka's discussion with Yuta before the whole school festival and stuff happening, you have Toka, because she's like, listen, you need to make Rika change her Chunibyo self, change her, because this is not right and stuff like that. And you go through the next day where he's actually contemplating himself, and even before the performance, he's like obviously down, and he knows that obviously Rika can't do this, but the whole foreplaying stuff, because obviously they're too old to do it, but yet at the same time he's also conflicted, like, should I let her do it, because that's who she is, and stuff like that. And then that's when you get the scene where they fought, where he asked her, take off your eye patch. Now I will say this: the one thing I did not like is I really do wish in the anime. I don't know if it's explained in the novels. There's there's I think a novel or manga on this. I really didn't like how the anime didn't show that whole scene where he essentially tells her to change and not be the person that she is at the moment because of the influence of what her sister had, or sister said to him. I don't know if they go into detail more into that whole discussion with in the novel, but okay. I wish they did show it because it seemed like it would have been a very emotional scene. And in every romance anime, that's like, yep, that's gonna be the low point where the two couples, they look like they find each other and they're in love, and then it comes to something where something hits home where they get into some sort of disagreement or some sort of argument, and then that's when they split apart, and only for them by the end, really by the finale episode, to come back together again and essentially, really truly fall in love with one another, which did happen. Even though at the end of this season you didn't get a kiss sequence, but you got the resolution to it, where they both accepted, for who they were and stuff like that. But yeah, and that whole thing was, that whole arc was really emotional and stuff like that. And he was even more emotional when, you had Rika go up on the stage and sing a song that her dad used to sing to her all the time. And then when you get to the next episode, when, it's Rika just acting all normal and stuff like that. God, man, talk about a depressing episode there. I believe that was episode 11. Like, it was so depressing. They even, made the tone or the color palette tone of the episode much more darker and gleamer and stuff like that, or, bluer, making it like a depressed type of anime and stuff like that. And you have like, Rika's mother, who she kind of doesn't see eye to eye with, kind of like, have to move in with her and stuff like that. And you just see how, throughout that episode, you obviously see Deku Mori, her friend, obviously disturbed by the changes that are happening to her. And then you have that very emotional scene at the end of that episode where you just have Yuta essentially like, you know what, I'm done. This ain't right and stuff like that. This whole Chunibyo foreplane business. And he's telling that to Deku Mori. And it was really a heartbreaking, emotional scene. It was even more heartbreaking when, she leaves to go to see her father's grave, Rika, and she takes the subway, and, you have Yuta in his head saying, like, should I ask her, like, is she okay with this? And you can clearly see throughout that episode, like, Rika is clearly not cool with her totally changing her personality and acting, amongst herself like a regular, normal girl and stuff like that. And you obviously, like I said, the argument him and Deku Mori have, was very emotional. I think I almost teared up there because obviously you have Deku Mori, who obviously knows, like, yes, I know what we're doing is wrong and stuff like that. But I think what she was trying to tell you to, like, look, I know what we're doing is wrong, but we do it because it's fun for us. We get a kick out of doing this. That's just, our child life kicking, our personality kicking in with us and stuff like that. And it was a really deep, I probably can't explain most deep things like that, but it was a really deep conversation. I thought that's what Deku Mori was trying to tell her. And even you see sometimes when they cover the Nibutani, they have a few discussions, Yuta and Nibutani, and you can clearly see that, in that episode, later in that episode, you see Deku Mori and Nibutani obviously embrace in that whole thing, because it comes to a point where, earlier in the episode, you have Rika actually disband their club and stuff like that. And obviously you have Nibutani and Deku Mori obviously embrace. And I think, Nibutani honestly didn't like the decision as well from Yuta, even though she said, it was the right thing to do. But I think Nibutani's stance is you could have probably done it a different way. And you can clearly see in that, I even almost cried there because you can see, for once, these two characters that butt heads with each other, like, embrace and you just have, you know, Dekamori crying into Nibitani's arm. I'm like, man, this episode is so depressing. And stuff like that. And even in the season finale, the episode starts off really freaking depressing because you find out that it seems like Rika's not going to be moving back. It's not going to be coming back to the little apartment building. It looks like she actually moved, you know, to stay with her grandparents, like, for reals and stuff like that. And obviously you see that she's not, you know, she doesn't like the whole change, and she's also calling out for Yuta. And then, you know, by the end of the episode, you have Yuta finally realize this, and he bites out, you know, how far it is. And like I said, he runs into Kumin, because you see Kumin in the season finale kind of take, you know, Rika's route and having the eye patch and the, you know, the wristband and stuff like that. And you know, that's when she kind of makes, you know, Rika finally wake up and be like, you know, she admired you, and you know, she liked you for what you did. She came across you after, you know, her dad died, and it was her way of escape to make her happy and be like, this is my way of coping with my father's death, and it's my way to escape into something else, and then instead of focusing on the real world for the time being and stuff like that. So like I said, that's how you can tie where, you know, she fell in love with him essentially because of that, which was very adorable, very sweet, and stuff like that. And then you obviously, that's when you have, you know, Yuta finally realize I made her change because my own selfish decision, you know, instead of realizing what she truly wanted and stuff like that. And then you have you have the very emotional, you know, scene, which I did tear up. I'm gonna lie, as a guy, I teared up. There's no shame in crying if you're a man. I really did cry. I really did tear up when they finally reunited and they finally hugged again. I really did wish the frickin' grandpa didn't frickin' ruin it. He's like, hey, you crazy people, what are you doing? And then, you know, you have all the other friends finally get there and kind of help them to go out. And then, you know, you have the whole scene on the beach where he does the whole, you know, foreplay thing, which makes her see, you know, the end line barrier or something like that. And it was her way, as you saw in that scene, where again, another emotional scene where where Rika finally accepts and she says goodbye to her father. And I think for her character, it really grew for her. And like, my God, even talking about that scene, that's very emotional. Like it was like, you know, it's hard, especially if you're somebody her age, to lose a family member, like a dad or a mother at that young of age. And, you know, that can mess with your mind, man. Like, you know, it can mess with your mind if you lose lose one of your parents at an early age and stuff like that. I mean, come to think of it, it's like she really lived with her sister. Like her mom kind of just dipped and like, yeah, I'm leaving. I'm done. And you can see this clearly had a lot on Rika, and I really adored that scene where she finally accepted and she finally said her goodbye to her father. And you know, you have the episode end off where, you know, obviously you have the narrator talking and his whole thing. And I think the whole message of this show by the end is essentially, and this is from my standpoint, if you feel otherwise, please put that in the comment section. I feel like the message of this show is everybody has their own unique personalities. And everybody's different. Everybody's weird in their own ways, you know? And I think that's something you can't, you know, it's something you have to respect about one another. And I think the thing is, yes, you can have that personality, that odd, colorful, maybe weird personality some people see fit. But, you know, you can still also focus on the regular things going on in your life. And I think, you know, I think by the end, I think Rika accepted that, yes, I can have this Chunibyo persona of me in me. But at the same time, I need to understand that, you know, normal life is normal life and stuff like that. Now, I don't know how she acts in season 2, but I think that's a good message to take away. And I think it was a really deep message because, let's be honest, I have a weird side to myself that I like. You know, everybody has a weird side. Everybody has a weird side. You know, you may you may have friends that might not like anime and might not hate it. They shouldn't hate you, or you shouldn't change them to say stop watching anime and stuff like that. I think that's another message to see this show also said. Listen, don't try to change somebody. Everybody's their own person. Everybody acts their own way. And you try to change it, you could possibly make that person end up like Rika, where she just puts on a fake face, where you clearly see that this person's bothered by the way they change, and you're not really considerate for how they feel about the change and stuff like that. And I'll say this, in the past, a past high school experience, I tried to change a friend because I thought, hey, and stuff like that. And I'll say this, he acted not a lot, but a little bit like Rika in this series, and I tried to change him for the better, and we almost stopped being friends because of it. And then when we finally had a discussion and a talk about it, I just dealt with the fact that, hey, I can't change him, and he's gonna be the person he is, and I'm gonna have to respect that. And even now, we're friends till the day, till this day and stuff like that. And obviously, he doesn't do, that type of stuff so much today, as he did in the past. But we're definitely much more mature and stuff like that. And I also think that I also thought that was another good message of saying like, listen, you can't change somebody even though you want to change, even though you want them to change for the better, because you feel in your own opinion it's going to help them. That's what Toka wanted to do, and stuff, which she forced upon Yuta to make change Rika. And obviously that made Rika be depressed and not be herself. Like, she was literally not herself. Like, you would hear in the tone of her voice, she definitely didn't like the fact that she was a completely different person and stuff like that. But yeah, I really enjoyed Love, Chunibyo, and Other Delusions. Season 1 was definitely a very likable season. I loved all the characters for their own quirky ways. And, I really enjoyed this. I really do like it. If you haven't seen it, literally, I know I just spoiled the entire series if you haven't seen it. But honestly, if you haven't seen it, really do give it a chance. It is really good. And, I thought it was like, it's going to be a type of, cliche anime. But it really hits you deep with these feelings. And like I said, the tail end of this season, it gets freaking emotional as hell. Like, it's deep for an anime about people that really role play, essentially. And I'm like, damn, that hit hard. But I enjoyed it a lot, and I really recommend it to somebody who's into, I guess you can say, a romance type of genre anime, type of comedic anime and stuff like that. So yeah. So if you guys like the video, leave a like. Put in the comment section your thoughts on Love, Chunibyo, and Other Delusions. And it could be season 1 or anything else regarding this series. Now, I don't know if there's going to be a season 3 for this show. You can put that in the comment section saying what's the updates with that. So yeah. And I guess another thing I forgot to mention, the way season 1 ended, honestly, I'm shocked that there was more of it, but I'm guessing, again, it must have got a lot of love from fans of this show, where they gave it a second season, some OVAs, and even a movie for it. And, it ended up pretty nicely, and it ended up to a point, it's like, you don't really need a second season. And, it's just, well, if they're going to give us more, they're going to give us more. I'll take it. So, yeah, but, yeah. Again, hit that subscribe button if you want to get more content on anime. I will more than likely be reviewing season 2 and the movies and the movie later on. But I just wanted to get my thoughts out on this season 1 of the show, and I liked it a lot, and I can't wait to watch season 2. But yeah. So I'm gonna get out of here. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day, and hopefully you guys are staying safe out there. So till next time, guys, This has been Cameron 15, and I'm signing out. So then, guys, peace.